Welcome to Fit Talk with Coach Luis. If you're serious about getting fit, then this is your show. This is a podcast where fitness enthusiasts share all the ups and downs, the challenges, and the victories on their fitness journey. Now, here's your host, Coach Luis.
Yes, welcome back everybody to another episode of Fit Talk with Coach Luis. Today, I am going to be talking with Yuri. The episode picks up when we're talking about a ninja warrior. It was such a great conversation. Yuri and I have been trying to have this chat for a while now, and we finally were able to make it happen. It's a Sunday morning. We're just sipping on our coffee and just having a laid-back conversation. You guys know how I like to have my interviews just be like a really nice chat where you're just talking with a friend. And that's exactly what this was. I couldn't be any happier with how this came out. I appreciate everybody listening to it, and please let me know what else you guys would like to hear. This is going to be a series. So this is going to be a Nudj Health series. Yuri and I will be doing a few more episodes, and we'll also be bringing in more of the Nudj staff, where we'll be talking about what it takes to run this. It's just such a great conversation. So without further ado, guys, here we go, and enjoy the episode.
You gotta your grip has got to be real strong, and there's moments where you're like, I'm gonna slip in the water, I'm gonna fall in the water, and you somehow make it. You get to the next thing, So, but you have to when you have the right team, you have a better chance. So
it's that's the beauty of, I think, starting in something at that beginning point, because you start to really see who your team is. You start to really kind of like, all right, they're really strong here, so they would make really good sense being in this spot and then growing from there or whatever. But I think coming in and then seeing everyone just grow and adapt, evolve, and just change, all those things, I think that's the beauty of a startup, because you do get to actually have those opportunities to where you're not stuck in one spot, unless of course you love it, and then that's where you want to continue.
Well, I think the benefit of it is that if you can, all I think about a startup as, there's always these identifying you got to constantly identify the gaps as you're building, and then it's all about finding solution-oriented people. So to your point, if we can find people who can come in and find the right solution, and that lasts, they really love doing that, and they feel like it drives their own personal mission and the company's mission, great. But the great thing about a startup is, as it grows, after a year, 2 years, the ability for those people now to go find other opportunities to build other solutions in the company grows.
That's true.
Of course, you have to make it. You have to make it, but
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the beauty of a startup.
It is. There's so many. The avenues are almost endless. I think there's the things that can come from, without even thinking of that even being something that was available or even an option a year ago. It's now, like you said, something that didn't even exist or wasn't even a need. You're like, oh, wait a minute, we do need this, and then let's build it. So I think that's the what's the word I'm looking for? It's the beauty of that startup, because you get to really build that and define what you want it to look like for yourself and for everyone else around you. And you're right, the growth you get from that environment, it's big, because we grow from doing hard things. And I love the analogy you said about a ninja warrior, and that's what makes them grow. And then that thing that was difficult for them and that one event that they did, they come back a year later and they just kill it.
But you've seen that, right?
Yeah.
Or the muscle memory it takes to grab onto a obstacle and you make it, and then the recovery, and then you got to go back again and do it, and that mental fortitude to go, I don't have any more grip strength. I got to get to the next obstacle,
Yeah.
And not everyone. It's not an environment for everyone.
No.
You know, and I'm not saying that it's always that's the environment you need to seek, but if you are in it in order to be successful, right, and enjoy yourself and have purpose, is those are the kind of things, the ability to kind of create, pivot, create solutions, lose your grip sometimes. That's what happens in startups a lot. You lose your grip. Actually, you fall down a lot, right? And then you got to be able to regrip, recover, find time for yourself, and then come back in. So
yeah. But that's how we grow.
yeah,
That's how
man.
we grow, is by falling and getting back up. I remember that, and I know you love comic books too. I love in the Dark Knight series, in the movies where Bruce fell down, and Alfred was telling him that. He goes, "Hey, did you fall or whatever?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, what do we do when we fall?" He goes, "We get back up again and do it again."
I love the dark. It's funny. I was just telling someone I love how much I love the Dark Knight series. What is your favorite dark Batman?
It has to be. It has to be that one. The Dark Knight series, I think, was my favorite. I like
Yeah,
that
I
one a
love
lot.
my favorite. When you're watching TV or whatever, and there's always some movie on. I call it the movies that you always, when it's on, you end up watching
Yeah,
clips of it. Is For me is the Batman Begins, Christian Bale.
yeah. Chris, I think he did. He did
That
awesome. He
whole
did.
journey of
Man,
going and finding himself and then coming back
it was
is to
amazing.
me, like, I love that, right? Like, he's down, he's out, he's in a prison, and he has a
Pick,
battle through.
yeah, yeah, and picking himself up from nothing, and
Yeah,
like the whole entire the whole journey from there all the way back to when he met Alfred again for the first time, for who knows how many years had passed. And I was like, oh, that's good stuff. That was really good. It was a good storyline. And I did like I liked when Ben Affleck was doing the versus
yeah,
Superman piece. I like that piece of it.
yeah.
I think he did really good as Batman too. There was a few, I don't know. I think they did a little bit of an injustice to Batman a little bit in that movie, just because they made him almost look like a little whining baby. I think a few
It
times.
did.
I was like, come on.
Speaking of which,
I saw
yeah,
that.
didn't even.
I saw that.
I guess I planned that. I planned it. Uh,
And that's probably what triggered me to think of the
yeah,
Dark Knight series, was looking at the that
I
Superman
watched that
piece.
last Superman, and
I did too.
I don't
I
know.
did
Did you
too.
like it?
I liked. I did. I liked the overall of it. It made it feel very like the old comic books. To me, is what it gave me that vibe of. It was very different, which I really liked it. And I mean, I
Yeah.
loved the message. I liked a lot of it. He was the weakest Superman, though.
Yeah.
In that was
I think
he
so.
was
I'm with
portrayed.
you. Yeah, I'm with you. I love the sort of old style.
Yeah.
I will say that I felt like, these movies are too long. At some point
It
you're just kind
was
of like,
long.
oh, two and a half,
That
two
was a
hours and
long
40 minutes.
movie.
Like, get to the point. But
It was a very
um,
long movie.
I always like this time of year. I don't know about you, because this is movie season.
It is. It
You
is.
know,
All the
I
good
mean,
stuff starts coming out.
you got your. I'm so excited about watching Elf. Like,
Oh man,
Elf.
that
This is
always.
the best. Elf, and then all the new movies come out, and movies are, I mean, kind of related to startups, right? The telling stories,
Yeah.
telling people's experiences and their journeys. To some extent, like, that's what we thrive on at Nudge, right?
Yep.
And so
Absolutely.
that's why I love this time of year. This movie season is this the ability to tell stories is.
Yeah. And I do. I love
We
that.
need more of that. We need more of that in
We
this
do,
society.
and we do need to do more like success stories. Do more of. I think that's. I know, like, obviously, it's a lot of. There's so many things in the pipeline. Which, again, to your point earlier, this wasn't even like you knew you wanted that to happen. It just wasn't the time. And it's like, all right, this is definitely something we want to do, but it's just not the right time yet. But then, like we said, 6 months later, a year later, all right, this is the time. Like
Well,
it's grown. Things have built. Things have
yeah,
changed.
and I'll tell you something else. You're right about that. We have so many amazing stories in our company. I mean, we have amazing people. I mean, that at a bottom line, amazing people that I so deeply I did care about, invest in, I want to see grow, and going back to our people who can kind of create solutions.
Yeah.
But it is all about timing, and sometimes you worry, right? These companies come out and they've raised a lot of money, and they're saying they're going to solve healthcare, transform healthcare. You know, there's so many taglines, and you really deeply care about how you execute as a team,
Yeah.
and then the outcomes. Are we generating? One, obviously, are there patients benefiting from all this?
Yep.
That's number one. But two, then at a higher level, are a population of patients benefiting from all this? So really interesting, hot off the press um, data is that one of our big partners, right? They took a look at about 550 patients that went through our program,
Nice.
and they looked at their EMR, and the idea was, could they look at the utilization of those patients in the EMR prior to Nudge,
Ooh.
and then look at the utilization in the EMR after Nudge, right? After the patients have experienced Nudge.
Yeah.
And the whole concept of lifestyle medicine and preventative care and whole person care is, by providing this type of care, can patients not only get better, but will they use the system less, right? Stop using the ER, stop taking meds, stop going and seeing specialist after specialist, because they're getting the
Right.
care they need.
They're getting what they need, so they don't need.
So,
Yeah.
so here, and you and all the rest of the Nudge team, you should feel very proud of this. What the data showed, and I'll be talking about it a little bit more, but since we're just talking about it on a Sunday morning, what the data showed was, guess what? There was significant utilization drop.
That's beautiful.
That is ultimately why we're doing this, right? Is that patients get better, they get better care, but guess what? They don't go seek the sick care system anymore, because we've delivered proactive care, right?
Proactive.
And
Yeah.
so back to the timing of all this, I love doing this. It's great to get on and talk about it, but it's actually more powerful talking about it with someone who has been doing it, been delivering it.
Yeah. I
Uh,
agree.
but that's why you kind of wait. It's all about, to me, it's all about execution,
Hmm.
right? Does the data show what you're doing works, or are you just a bunch of hot air? You
Right.
know?
Exactly. It's like, show me the proof. Give me that data, because once you
Yeah,
have that tangible data that you can actually it's black and white. It's obviously working. And I think that's what separates what Nudge is doing from really anything else, because it's
you got it.
it's collaborative care. And that was literally one of the questions, that what is the difference with collaborative care versus just being another wellness company, you know and
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm sure there's many takes on it. My take is, the problem with the word wellness, it comes with a lot of connotations of biohacks and supplements and trendy things that actually, if you kind of look at that stuff, there's probably a lot of value in it. But you know, I think in the space we're dealing with, I think of what we do as chronic disease remission, not even chronic disease management. Chronic disease management is someone has a disease
Mhm.
and your goal is to manage it.
Right.
right? Chronic disease remission is that you truly care that the markers that are, goalposts for remission are actually being hit. And the only way to do that is to measure those outcomes, right? And then track them as a team, which is not easy, right? What we do doing that is not easy. I mean, we can all deliver the stuff, but our team we have to measure, we have to document, measure, and capture. And that is really the sort of the principles of the collaborative care model is, can we deliver measurement-based care, right? Treatment to target, take people who started off in a worse place and in a very rapid manner, measure them and bring them into a better place, right? Not only, mentally, physically, socially, right? And be able to reinstill health and well-being in a very short period of time. And that is really the difference between this whole wellness concept and our whole person care model, right? That concept of, we are really focused on, if you look at the evidence around why collaborative care is, there's 12 years of research, 80 plus clinical trials that showed when you do this model, in the model that we're doing, we're surrounding that patient with the entire team, not just one aspect, the entire lifestyle, all the lifestyle pillars, and as part of their clinicians' care, the data shows that you'll see these improvements. So that's how I separate it, right? Now, is that wellness? Yes, it's wellness. But the problem is the wellness has a bunch of other history behind it. And so we're really focused, I'm more focused on, taking patients who have one or multiple chronic conditions, and can we really help them re-architect their health? And obviously, as I was talking about the data, utilize the system less, which saves them money and then saves all the taxpayers money. So that's kind of what we're trying to do.
It's a nice win-win, because everyone wins, especially the patient. They're feeling better. They're actually able to live their life and enjoy their life instead of just existing. They can actually enjoy it, and all because of being proactive. So it's incredibly powerful what it is that's being created, and more people are seeing it, which, like you said, we just had Deb to give me some really good talks at that release. And I mean, not just that, but also Nudj is certified lifestyle medicine program through the ACLM. Like, that's huge, to be that recognized already. I think that's a massive
and it's not as we talked about in startups, you need luck, right? And sometimes you fall into things, but there is a saying, I think it was Seneca, who's a Roman senator, said that luck is when opportunity and preparation, right, come together, right? And so on that lifestyle medicine certification, actually we're a certified health coaching program by the National Health and Wellbeing Board of Coaches, or I need to get that down.
It's the NBHWC.
The National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches.
Yeah.
There's too many acronyms.
It's too many.
There's too many. Sometimes I'm speaking in acronyms.
I know.
And then ACLM is American College of Lifestyle Medicine. So just for whoever is listening,
there's so many.
Get those two down. But on that, my point on that, you brought that up. It wasn't unintentional. For the last 4 years, I call it, we are beginning to build what I call the lifestyle medicine operating system. So we had to go deploy this into settings that sometimes are what I call uneven. Not everything is, laid out in terms of workflow and processes. Patients sometimes what are you talking about? What is this program? My doctor never talked about it. All the crazy stuff that just comes with deploying anything new for the last 4 years. And we've built this infrastructure that was intentional about, hey, we're going to do evidence-based care. We're going to focus on these 6 pillars. We're not going to deliver just one aspect. It's not just mental health, right? It's not just exercise. It's not just nutrition.
Yeah.
It's all of it.
It is.
Right. And it's, the model we think about is whole person care. And that when you do things intentionally and comprehensively and not easy, but I always say, and then you have the right team, right? Then you get those things come your way, right? The certifications, the data, right? So that's why I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, and I was looking at the Nudj website itself has had such a beautiful revamp. NudjHealth.com if you're interested in checking out NudjHealth.com.
Does a commercial come in right now?
Yeah, right. Exactly. That'd be perfect. That's exactly.
The thing is, you need to do the commercials because you got the voice. You got the nice voice.
We'll do that where we'll drop that in right there. We'll drop this. There you go. See, we'll drop that in there.
Look at that. See? You saw that. Bring it into remission. That's what we care about.
Yeah, and that's,
that
stuff is perfect.
And then you can look up there. You can go see the data from.
Yeah. There we go. So we can see the data. We can see all of those things, and
people can check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So NudjHealth.com, and then we'll do that. We'll actually, and we'll put it at the end on the episode as well. We'll put it in there, the description. We'll put the website. That way, everyone can just click on it. Everyone can see what.
Hey, and to your point, there's a lot of people. It's funny. The system right now is interesting, right? You got this insurance-based system that's existed, and a lot of people are now beginning to say, "Hey, I'm trying to figure out my own pathway to health," right? And even employers are doing this, right? They've been aligned maybe with in a fully insured model, but a lot of employers are going, let me figure out how I can control my own healthcare costs. So a lot of them are going direct to primary care, right? Models where they're just paying out directly to the primary care, and individuals are doing that. So to your point, I know you put the website, but if you are out there seeking what I call a true way to achieve health span, right? And you're confused by going on social media and seeing this and that, come and find out about Nudj.
Right.
Honestly. And even if you come and find out you want to go do other things, this will give you a baseline, right? You'll see the data. Right. You'll see the patient stories. You'll see how we execute. We have to execute in the clinical settings, right? And so we want to be able to turn that out and say, if there's a world of people who are really seeking a better way and that want to know that all of this stuff is interconnected, right? You can't just say, help me with nutrition what are your stress levels and where's your emotional health at?
Right.
How are you sleeping? Are you moving? Right? Are you connected with your family or your community? All that has to come into play.
All of it. It does.
So check it out. To Lisa's point, check it out.
Check out nudgehealth.com, guys. But it's so true because this is what is it called now? The era of information. It's everywhere. The touch of your fingertips, anything you want. But doesn't mean it's all necessarily accurate. That's the beauty with the Nudj. It's literally all in one space where you can come to it, read through it. You can see actual real people's stories that they've chosen to share, that they've said, hey, this actually worked. I'm telling my friends about it. I'm telling my family about it because it worked for me. And it's all in one. So it's not just focusing on one thing. It's going to be your sleep. It's going to be your stress levels. It's going to be your nutrition, your fitness. It's going to be all the everything that encompasses what is our mental health. So I think that's what makes it so great, because you don't have to be like, all right, I'm done with the nutrition piece. All right, now what? I don't know. Take care. It's more of a, oh, you're done with this? Well, you should check out your fitness, because obviously while we're eating well, we also have to move our body as well at the same time. Or we have the cardiometabolic program too. It's like all these different things that doesn't matter what stage you are in your journey, there's something to help. And the team, like you said, is that biggest part. I think is the staff that is so well educated in what they do in their specific specialties, that I think that's obviously what's giving everyone that type of outcome. And
Yeah.
again, then like you said, the data there, you see it.
The data, right? I think of what we do as building individual resiliency, right? And um, it's not just the you know the the pillars, if you will, but to some extent it's a community.
Yeah.
And we the longest the study the one of the longest studies on longevity, I think it's an 83-year study, right, out of Harvard, showed that when you have purpose and you're connected to your loved ones and you're connected to your family, you live longer, right? And so I really believe that we are in it. We are, it is Nudge's mission to really, create literacy and awareness about your health, but also create community. And when you do that, it builds individual resiliency, it builds population health resiliency,
Yeah.
and that is sort of the mission we're on.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to see, going back to, it's exciting to see that the data shows that when you deliver this model the way we do it, the data shows really, really strong both health and utilization effects.
It works. It
It
works.
works.
And I think Nudge's mission is to literally transform health. You know, how we view it. I mean, when you take a 16-week program that is very education based, and what you're doing is changing the behaviors, that's when you have true change. There's so many people that we have worked with that say, "Oh, it's only 16 weeks." It's like, yeah, but this is nothing like you've ever done
Yeah,
before. so, so going through those steps, understanding the whys behind it
you
is
nailed it. The
the
why.
change. Yeah, that is
Your why, the why these things exist. It's not a quick fix solution. Like, meaning, if people are coming here to say, "Hey, just give me some, you know,
some quick
pill,"
pill or something. Yeah,
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 not saying that you don't take those therapies, right?
hmm
But at the baseline, it comes back to kind of like how I think about education, right? You can't just have, if you don't have, if a child doesn't have the underpinnings of how to read and do math and understand history, and communicate, those basic building blocks need to be there in order to do anything else, anything advanced. In the same way with the way I think about health, all the advanced stuff you want to do, you have to get the basic building blocks, right? And so we try to create that foundation and then
yeah,
build momentum off of that.
yeah. It it's exactly that. It's what which hopefully we get to have Mindy on the show soon. But my goodness, she is such a wealth of knowledge.
She's a force.
She is a beast. I mean, what she's done and how things are rolling now with our fitness lifestyle, it's beautiful, and it just keeps growing. It keeps evolving and changing and growing. But the foundation, that's what we always talk about in the classes, the 5 pillars of fitness, because you need those in order for anything else that you do to continue to grow, and you just take it from there. But one of the biggest things that I always tell everyone is that it's called a lifestyle change for a reason. It takes a long time. It's supposed to be for the entire span of our life. That's why it's called lifestyle change. So not to expect that, oh, in a month I'm going to be, jacked or shredded, or I'm going to be the best version of myself. You'll be a better version of yourself, yes, because you're working at it and you're doing the hard things, but it takes time. And this is where those educational classes come in so on point, because having the information and then knowing what to do with it and then having it over and over repeated, and that's
And
the
connecting with
consistency
others,
of it.
right, who are going through similar
That
journeys.
that is that is such a beautiful thing to see when we do the classes, and we always try to ask open-ended questions so that maybe someone else can jump in there and say something, and then they're like, "Oh, you have that? Oh man, let me tell you what worked for me." And then when that starts rolling, we just stop. We just take a step back and let them talk, because that's when they're starting to see, okay, wait a minute, this person is literally dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with now, or they were dealing with it a year ago. And hey, how did you fix that? How did you? And of course, everyone's different, but you can take little bits and pieces from that and apply it to your own life, and then they start feeling more and more like they're not alone. They start feeling like, oh, wait a minute, there is another 20 people that are in the same boat that I have been. So it's a really nice thing to see, and that's
Yeah, and
another thing that
like
really,
just like the other analogies I have, there's a difference between macro and micro decisions,
yeah,
right? So the macro decision is, I equate it to sports. I always do. Is I want to go be a professional soccer player. Something my son says. That's a macro decision, right? I want to change my health. Everyone wants to change their health. I want to be healthier. January has at the beginning of the year, there's a lot of macro decisions in America.
yes, there are.
But if you look at the greatest players and the ones who are successful at what they do, right, who make it, it's not the macro decision. It's actually the micro decisions,
Yep.
the daily little iterative micro decisions, and they don't have to be grand in scale.
No.
I'm going to remove this. Boom. I'm going to do this. Like wholesale. I'm going to change this all right away. It is, how do you effectively take those moments where you could go one way or the other and just make an adjustment, ratchet the adjustment. That adjustment adds resiliency, sustainability. It gives you stamina, and it gives you the ability to do the next decision, right? And so, like I tell my son, if you're not willing to make the micro decisions on your development, are you juggling the ball 5 minutes a day? Are you doing all the different technical skills that I show him 10 minutes a day? Are you preparing and stretching your mobility another 5 minutes a day? And you do that consistently, that's how you get to the next level. And I think that's what Nudj has really done really well at scale, is that we've taken a lot of people who frankly, Luis, we've taken people who wanted to change. And frankly, we've taken people who were like, I don't want to have anything to do with this program.
Oh yes.
My doctor told me, but I don't want to do it, or my doctor told me and I don't care. And we've shown them, like, you know what? Don't look at it as the big mountain to climb, right? Let's walk together down the path.
100%.
And pretty soon you've actually ascended the mountain.
Yeah. But that's exactly what it is, because a lot of us also grew up with that mentality of all or nothing. That was like big, especially how I grew up. It was like, hey, if you're sitting taking a few minutes of a break, like, you're being lazy. It's like, go outside and do some work. So that is instilled in your brain. So I like to call it environmental reprogramming that we're trying to do with what we know is actually positive and healthy versus what we've been taught. And that's, again, those little micro things too are what will help us always make those bigger changes. So it's okay to take a rest. It's okay to take a break. I've been working with people that are the same thing. They come in here and they're like, no, I have to work out 7 days a week. I have to make sure I'm running, lifting weights, this. And then we just start with that kind of like breaking it down, deconstructing it a bit, and then talking about the importance of resting and why. And then why do we need to rest? Why do we break? Why do we do this? Oh, well, that's when our muscles recover and rest. So if you're training 7 days a week, when is that happening? So it's just kind of
Yeah.
like re.
I call it the blowback against progress, right? Is
It
if
is.
you do something so intensely, which by the way, you sometimes need to do, right? But
You do. Yeah.
if you don't have a plan to restore and recover, then you have the
Yes.
blowback against progress, which is ultimately my intensity is so it's at such a high throughput that I don't know if I can sustain this.
No.
So the goals that I originally set out for me
Yep.
are not achievable.
No. And then we crash, and then everything kind of you actually start in a worse point because you didn't take those break periods, those rest periods, and so I love that we do that. That we set small goals. Where it's like, yes, sure, we have a big goal, but then let's break that down into small little increments. It's just 20 minutes a day of walking. You know, depends where we're at. Obviously, everyone's different, but it's the same thing. It's micro decisions, which I like. That I'm going to start using that. What would you say, though, Yuri? What is your what was your turning point? Like, what was it that inspired you to start Nudj? What was it? Like, what was your turning point?
Yeah, it's funny because you think about starting something and you think it's a snap decision, like wake up one day, like I'm going to do this. I mean, I think it's a multiple things, right, that add up. But I mean, the first I would say is just my love of creating. Like, I've had experience obviously building other startups, and I really love it. That I really enjoy it. I enjoy it. So that's one. Is that if you're just thinking about, hey, I'm Yuri. What I get up in the morning, and what am I going to do? The thought of me doing something with a bunch of people that I really enjoy, and we get to go on this mission together,
Yeah.
and I'm helping craft sort of the vision of the mission. I personally like that.
Nice.
I think that's number one. Number two, I was really challenged with my own health and wellness. And a lot of it had to do with my lifestyle, and so honestly, when I went to my primary care doctor uh, just after the last company that was built and sold, and then before starting Nudj, I was really shocked at how off I was. All my cardiometabolic markers, right? And of course the most obvious one I talk about is my hypertension,
Mm.
right? And I was really stunned that I was in that position because I never thought of myself that way,
Yeah.
you know. But the second thing is that my doc didn't have. I mean, hey, he didn't have a lot of time as usual, right? They don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
He's like, here's what you got to do. Go get the blood pressure reader. Here's some, maybe we'll give you some meds. And I started just going, hey, let me dial this back. Let me figure out what's going on with my life. And you start reading about what to do with hypertension. Guess what's the number one thing, that the AHA in their new guidelines recommends, right? Class 1A recommendation is lifestyle change, right? Before all those drugs and all those interventions. And I started looking at the data and I was going, wow, now that I look at this, I'm not eating right. I'm not sleeping well. I thought I worked out a lot, but I was working out once in a while, not moving daily, right? I was definitely disconnected from my family. Not that if you ask them and they asked me, yeah, I was there, but my kids would say, hey, Daddy, you look like where are you at the dinner table? You look like you're somewhere else. A lot. That happened a lot, right? I wasn't a smoker and I wasn't a drinker, but all those other things were not in the right place.
Yeah.
And if you look at
there.
Luis, if you look at the data is very powerful.
Yeah.
It says those things drive your cardiometabolic condition. Plain and simple. And so I started looking at that going, all right, I gotta do something about that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm 52. Right. And whew, I gotta pull that thing back in. I have a duty not only for myself, but I have a family.
Right. Absolutely.
So that was the second driver, right? The third is, after the last company, I really thought about like what I wanted to do something purposeful in this world. We all do to some extent, I believe. And I saw a world, and we're in the middle of it right now. It's being stretched to its capacity. And I always say I call it the twin evils of against a civil society, right? The first is this concept of polarization. People are moving to opposite poles, and they identify themselves being encamped in opposite poles. The second is marginalization, meaning more and more people feel like they don't have access to the things that they need to have a good life, right? Education, healthcare, affordable groceries and gas, and all those things. So when those two things happen, right? People moving to the polls and marginalization increases, you have a fracture of what I call civil society. And we're in the midst of that right now. I mean, we just have to look at everything that's going on and see that. So like when I started looking at this from an economist standpoint, my background is economics. The data is very clear. We look at 163 countries, right? And you measure the social progress index of these countries from all things: environment, education, healthcare, finances, social services, etc. U.S. ranks number one in med tech innovation, right? I think it was 99 in access to primary care, right? A corollary is that we rank number one in university education, like 93 in primary school access, right? So to me, those were big markers of, hey, something's off here, right? The basic foundations of well-being are off. Yeah. And so I was going, what part can I do, right, in all this? And so that came together sort of like, all these different things came, in my world view. And then I looked at my family and said, I think I want to let's go build something again. And as we talked about in the beginning, how hard it is. But if you figure out you have the right mission, there's an angle on how you can kind of go build it, and then you go get the right team, which I always go back to team. You've mentioned a couple people here, but Nudj has some amazing people.
So many people.
I wake up every day and I go, I get to work with these people. They're so caring. They're really solution driven. They'll figure it out, right? So that's kind of why I started it, is saying, and I really do believe I call it a wedge. We're a wedge company. If you can create this innovation and open up, right, the template, and if that means other people flood in to deliver it, that's good. Yeah. Obviously, I want us to benefit as well, right? I'm a business guy. But that's kind of what started to me, right? So it was kind of like, I love the creation of a startup and going through that American Ninja Warrior course.
Yeah.
I individually was going through my own health situation that needed re-architecture, right? Re-architecting. And then third, when I looked at sort of societal data and trends and patterns that I was very concerned about, I said, what can I do about it? So all those came together, and then that was, you throw it against the wall and you go, okay, this is Nudj. And then I go back to, then you see if other people want to go, hey, I kind of like what's that on the wall? Like, let's go after it. Let's go build
Yeah,
it together.
absolutely. I love that. I appreciate you sharing that, and it says a lot about you as a person too. You know, you're like, there's a problem here. How do we fix it? And that's what you've been doing for the past, what, 4 years now? Yeah.
4 years, yeah, 4 years. This idea of, I get it. There's a lot of, you read LinkedIn and you hear everybody, the system is terrible, the system sucks, sick care, and all those things are true.
Yeah.
All those things are true. But over the 4 years, what we said was, hey, right in the belly of the beast, right? Right in the belly of the beast, all the problems that exist, can we bring innovation like this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was the idea.
And that reminds me of a quote I heard a long time ago, and it says, "Be the change that you want to see in the world." And that's literally what it is that's happening here, being that change. And what what made Nudge be the name? Like, what's the behind the name?
Yeah,
What's the meaning?
it's a play on the book Nudge, Nudge, which is a Pulitzer Prize winning book, which really details this concept of nudging and nudging basically creating what the authors say is a choice architecture, right? That you set up the environment for the participant without being, you know, paternalistic, like you will do this, right? Or else. But you do certain things that are driven, that really look at human behavior and how humans react, and then add those things into the architecture to drive them to better outcomes. Fundamentally, that was sort of the premise of the book. And so there's a lot of different, I mean, people can go check it out. There's a lot of different concepts in there. The two that, we talk about a lot, I talk about a lot, is this idea of framing.
Mm-hmm.
How you frame the choice drives the outcome. So this is the classic, you start putting, healthy food right at eye level, the less healthy food to top and bottom, right? Tendency that people drive towards eating more healthy food or picking those healthy food choices. Uh, and then another concept called default, right? Which is, if you just make it the standard and allow people to opt out of the standard, right? Then the standard, which is a better direction, will lead to better outcomes. And that happened in the financial services industry as it relates to like savings and 401k. So that's the other concept, is, can we implement a standard of care? I mean, like today, if you go to primary care or a specialty, there isn't a standard whole person care model. I mean, there's permutations of it, and maybe some physicians do it, but can we just, as part of, patient comes in with a chronic condition, patient comes in with a behavioral health issue, boom, we got this program, right? And at any moment, the patient can opt out of it, right? But if we can get a lot of those patients who are struggling onto the program and then transform their lives, then that's the benefit of the program. So that's the idea of Nudge. So Nudge was a play on that book.
I like it. I like it.
Although I hear people say nudge, nudge, nudge.
Oh, I've heard it all different ways.
I'm like, no, it's nudge, but nudge is a Hebrew word that means sort of pester or bother. I'm like, I guess maybe, I don't know if we do that. I know we don't.
We hold you accountable. We don't pester you.
Yeah.
But
Pester, I think of someone like pointing at you and
yeah, hey, go work out. Hey, go eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's but it's a really good way to just say, basically, make the healthier choice the easier choice, or the only choice. Because when we have those conversations with people, sometimes they're like, yeah, but then I do so good, and then come Saturday, then this happens. Like, well, what's causing that? Let's change that. and let's focus on that piece. Well, how do I do that? And then that's how we just start. Okay, well, let's go through the process of it, And it's also, food is emotional too, so it's also, all right, what was happening like 5-10 minutes, half hour before that trigger happened, and then start working there. So it's all those little things that we just kind of,
well,
the micro steps again.
Yeah, and I there's a obviously I'm really excited because I've been super excited about this. Just generally, it's just there's this whole return to how we work the soil and grow food,
Yeah.
right? There's this concept of peak soil, right, where we've extracted the nutrient density of the soil so much
Mm-hmm.
from our the way we've been farming that it doesn't produce food that's actually valuable to the body. And so, but there's this movement, right? Can food be medicine? There's food as medicine. Can you actually prescribe food as medicine? And why I think we're very important in that movement is I go back to this every day. I mean, you don't need to be a scientist or a clinician to see this. Just look at humans every day. You could have a plate full of healthy food in front of you, or you can have a box full of very nutritious stuff. But if you're not in the right headspace,
Oh yeah.
guess where you're going? You're going to the pantry.
Yep.
You're going to,
Absolutely.
before you get home, you're going to drive at the gas station. You're going to grab
100%.
all that processed food. So the combination of those micro decisions and the why behind those micro decisions with the supply of the the food that will get you there is a very powerful combination.
It is. It is. And I really do think too that that's where the accountability factor comes in also, with whoever your care manager is or your coach is. That piece is huge. I've had so many people say jokingly, they're like, "No, I can't do that because what would Luis do?" And that's like their thing they go with, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Go with it. If that's what helps you stay accountable, use that." But it's really good to see that things are changing. You can see people's mentality is
There you see
changing.
them.
You,
Yeah.
you, you can see the gears are working. And I think also where one thing that's kind of shifting now too is wearables. You know, how are you measuring it? How are we seeing the day in, the day outs of things like that? And if you want to talk on that, on how Nudge is adapting to that new
Yeah.
technology too.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Obviously we have connected devices, being able to get the blood pressure readings and weight scale readings and pulse ox readings and all that, and soon to be continuous glucose monitors, right, in our roadmap.
Nice.
Again, device data, right, abstracted from the how and why is meaningless, right? I mean, this was the reason like we started Nudj. Prior to Nudj, many of us we started a company called Geneva Health, which did implantable cardiac device monitoring. And we would see, okay, we have all this data coming out, right? The data was powerful. It showed, oh my gosh, this patient has been possible heart failure, right? Fluid is building up in the lungs, or they have new onset AFib. Okay, so now what?
Exactly.
Right? Always with devices is now what? Okay,
Now what? Yep.
I got, and I think that's the power of very similar to the analogy I gave you with food, right? I can have a bunch of food in front of me, but now what?
Yep.
If you don't have the mental wherewithal and the tools and techniques of your own mind and how to apply, you're not going to eat the healthy food.
It's just gonna go bad. It's kind of like giving
Right?
someone all the tools that they need to build a beautiful house, and they have what I don't know what to do with this. What am I gonna do with this? Like the
Yeah.
potential's there, but again, what I don't know what to do with it. I think absolutely.
So I'm really excited about the device world actually, Luis. I think there's so much potential. And I mentioned the ring, like Oura Ring. I think that's massive potential,
Yeah.
right? To me, if it's combined with the now what, right? So when that now what comes together and people can now see their data, because data could also be overwhelming. Like, okay, I got all this data, like, oh my gosh, analysis paralysis, what do I do? But when you combine that with what we've been doing is really tapping into the why of a person's health, and not just one aspect of it, but all of it together, is where I think the power is. So I think that there's so much exciting stuff happening on the device side, and I see a world where that's going to converge more and more, right? So what I call whole person care with kind of cardiometabolic device data coming together.
Yeah, and I think having the care manager again, or the professional, to be able to kind of dissect that information with the patient is huge. Because again, I mean, I use the Whoop strap, and I've used it for years, and the data's great, but it is a lot of data. So if you don't know what you're looking for and looking at, you're like, okay, that's so much. I think it's good. So,
and also we have to be, let's be real, right? So many of us have other competing things going on in our life, 2 jobs, loss of jobs, no access to housing or education that can sustain the family. So within all that, I mean, like, and of a majority of us, I go back to the marginalization concept, right? Then if devices are there for those few who really like just get it and tap into it and feed off of it, that's great. But if it's not getting down to the paradigm down, I don't mean by that, but I mean it's not getting access to the broader population that has sort of general, what I call the daily trials and tribulations of life. Right. Not those who just have a little bit more time and discretionary funds to do that. Then it's meaningless. But I think that's where the greatest potential resides, is being able to do that at scale.
I agree. I love where it's going because of that, because it's becoming more accessible to every single person. Doesn't matter, like you said, doesn't matter whatever word you want to use, status or what have you. It's accessible to everyone, and knowing that then you go to your doctor and they'll be like, yes, you need this lifestyle change. Talk to these people. They meet with their care navigator, and they just kind of have those great questions to kind of figure out where you're at, what do we need to start with best, then go from there to the lifestyle that makes more sense to you. I mean, now that's true collaborative care. That's when you're really working together with your physician, cardiologist, your specialist. Everyone's working together for your health. That's how it should be, and that's, I think, where we're becoming like their quarterbacks.
Yeah, look at there's a really cool technology it's a device that actually can sit in the patient's home and assess for fall risk. Like if a patient has fallen, and it can just look through the entire house. So, just imagine, are the, seniors living in the home, are they more at risk for falling? Have they fallen? Right. And then you combine that with Nudj, which is all about, look at what we do. Look at our data, our sit to stand times, right? We've been dealing with the Medicare population for, a large part of our 4 years, and we're able to take seniors and improve their sit to stand time, right? And when you do that and that improves, guess what? Fall risk goes down. So that's the power of devices and what we're doing together, really impacting individual well-being, but back to the data, population health well-being, right? Because now if you do that at scale, that's hundreds of seniors who are going to fall less. And when they fall less, they're not hitting the ER, they're not getting hospitalized, they're not getting, hip replacements, or they're doing it in a time where it's more planned versus, unscheduled. So all of that is what I'm talking about, right? The confluence of that coming together is extremely powerful.
It is, and just overall better quality of life. They're actually
Yeah.
being able to enjoy their life more and be more independent. That's one of the
Yeah.
biggest things that we preach when we're doing with the obviously that's the one that I'm in, the fitness lifestyle. So we talk about that so much. Is This is why we're doing this, so that 10, 20, 30 years from now, you can still be independent. You can still be having good quality of life because you're doing the work now. So your future self will look back and be very happy you did that. So there's a lot of things that you may think don't apply to you now because you're like, I'm not a fall risk. I'm 30. Like, yeah, but do you know at what age you start losing bone mass density if you don't work out, if you're very sedentary? And then that's like a very big eye opener for a lot of people because
Yeah.
everyone usually, for the most part, is like, oh yeah, 70, 65, like, So when they hear that, it's like, oh wait, so this is why I need to go do the hard things that work out, do strength training. This is why I need to, so I don't get to that point and then I'm like, oh, let me go work out now because now my back's hurting. Now I have osteopenia, osteoporosis. Like, no, do it here where you hopefully don't have to worry about that then. So it's
Yeah.
that again, it's like a
And
huge
by
change.
the way, the commercial plug, the name of that company is called Cherish Health.
Cherish
Uh,
health.
yeah. So they're doing some amazing stuff. The CEO there, who I know, is an incredible guy and incredible leader, and doing some amazing stuff around this. And so let's just talk about the aging population, right? We have, what is it, close to somewhere between, I don't know the number, 7 to 10 million more 65 and over entering the Medicare ranks in the next 10 years. We're getting, the aging population is growing, but it's extremely important for this type of care to be integrated with what they're doing, both from a prevent. I mean, 90% of the beneficiaries are going to have a chronic condition.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like going back to standard of care. It needs to be a standard of care.
Yeah.
So and the cost of an average the cost of a per capita for Medicare beneficiaries is going up too. I think it's going to be like, I don't know the number, but $18,000 a year. So, right, it keeps on going up. But I think there's a higher level of responsibility of doing that because, now with so much AI and, access to information and disinformation, et cetera, when when we can preserve our seniors and they are active and purposeful members of society, the history that they can tell,
Yeah.
the community that they can form,
Mm-hmm.
the lessons they can give our youth
Yeah.
is invaluable for a resilient society.
It is.
And
It's
so
necessary.
it's necessary. And so the more we have Medicare beneficiaries feeling unmoored, lacking purpose, not connected, feeling lonely, right? That's not good for society.
No, it's not. It really isn't. I mean, well, think about which is like obviously things we love. I think probably more than anything is blue zones. It's, think like that. They have that connection with their elders. They treat them so so well. They're focused on their well-being every single. They're included in everything that they do. They're not put into what we used to call storage when they put them, in an assisted living facility or a independent living facility. Obviously, if the needs there, the needs there, but it's not the go-to. The go-to
Yeah,
is you're living with us, you're staying with us, you're bringing all your knowledge and history down to the grandkids, the step, like all that. It's
it's
just
so important, Luis. It's so
it
important.
is, it
Yeah.
is.
And I started watching that show Band of Brothers on HBO.
Yeah.
Because I don't get a lot of opportunity to watch shows, but I picked up the show and I was on a plane. Oh my gosh, what an amazing show! But in the first episode, I haven't watched a lot, but I plan to watch more. They, they interview the actual paratroopers in that first episode and the decisions they made about signing up. And my point on this is we have to invest in that population.
Yeah.
We have to invest in our seniors. They're a critical component of the well-being of our society. not a group to be dealt with because they're forgotten or they're not productive, right? They're extremely productive now more than ever. I go back to their oral history, their connection to the younger generation, given all of what we're seeing today, is extremely important. So the more we invest in that community and build health resiliency in them, the better it is for all of us.
It is, and that's one of the things I've noticed too, especially with what we're doing with Nudj, is I've seen a lot more of the older population, but I think it's because the younger population doesn't talk as much with the older population. I think if they did, they would probably be. I mean, it's changing though. We're seeing a lot more younger groups coming into the lifestyle program because they're learning. It's more of being proactive.
Becoming a thing.
It's becoming a thing, yeah. But this older generation is really leading that. They're learning because they're in it, and they're being a little more reactive because they're a little older, but they're seeing the benefits, and then in turn their family, like their kids, are seeing the benefits, and they're like, man, like I just had someone last week. They're like, I picked up my grandkid for the first time. I never thought it'd be possible, and he's 30 pounds, and they're like, what happened? I was like, you put in the hard work. That's what happened. It's those stands that the first time you thought were so silly to do. Like those things that you're understanding, why do we do these things? And then that, I think, let that also be a part of what they're teaching the younger generation too. Like, hey, stay moving, stay active, stay doing these things. It has to be a consistent thing. So I think the more that we have that connection with that older generation, the more we'll know too, because the knowledge they're bringing with them that will leave with them if we don't take the time to learn it. It's also it'll be gone forever.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
But where do you see the wellness industry heading, like in the next 5-10 years or so? And where would you like to see Nudj fitting into that one?
Well, I don't claim to be an expert, so I think I can clearly see, people, especially if you look at social media, right? There is a larger, the two things I think are happening. One is obviously people are beginning to understand the chronic disease epidemic, right? At a society level.
Yeah.
Frankly, there's been the federal government has beginning to look at, hey, can lifestyle change help with the chronic disease situation? That's a good thing.
Yep.
And then there's just a lot of influencers, right, who are talking about how to live longer, live better, which is I generally think it's good. Obviously, there's people are going to say, well, are these people really clinicians?
Right.
Are they using research-based recommendations, all that type of stuff? Which I agree, because we follow that, right? We're delivering evidence-based lifestyle interventions into clinical care.
Right.
But I see that there's going to be just sort of this big movement around longevity and wellness that will have trickle-down effects on the larger society. People who, we have now, when the other sort of issue with social media is we tend to think, okay, everyone must be seeing this stuff. But the reality is, I go back to there's a large population that just doesn't have access or the time or dealing with a lot of other traumas in their life to actually, imbibe all this information. But as that grows, so what I see over the next year is as that sort of information growth of what it means to be well and healthy grows, that benefits Nudj, because again, we're in the business of chronic disease remission, right? And so what I'm excited about is our model, right? And our data continues to be developed and refined. And then we apply it to the populations that really need it, right? People who don't have access to all the things they may see on social media, right? So that's where I see us going, is really kind of the wake that's created from all this longevity conversations.
Yeah.
We're gonna benefit, and we're gonna just continue to deliver our care. We're gonna create new modalities and content and technology connections with our patients, but that human-centered care is critical. More importantly, because that's what I think our society needs. We need humans connecting with some humans. They need to be having conversations, and they need to be as imperfect as they are. All the AI and stuff, those could be more perfect conversations, and there's certainly a place for all that.
Mm-hmm.
But humans having the imperfection of the human interaction is actually what we need as humans to actually progress. It is the imperfection. It is not the perfection, right? And so it is the fact that our team, they're not perfect. And they bring a host of imperfections and fears, failures, overcoming life. That is the very essence of what it is to be human.
It is.
And if that can continue, right, over the next 5 years, you mentioned 5 years, along with all the things we need to do to scale, then that's where I want us to be. I really want us to continue to be in this, what I call chronic disease remission space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it's going to be, the more it grows, like, who knows, right? Like you said, who knows what'll happen in the next 5-10 years. But I think as long as the mission stays the same, I don't think it'll matter, because I think this will always be needed anyways, regardless.
The problem is too big.
Human connection.
Yeah, the problem is too big to, there's too many adults, like you said, the many who have traveled through life a little longer that need to be helped. There's too many adults who are coming into that world. I consider like myself, who, have been battle scarred with some lifestyle issues, and we need to change. And then, oh wow, there's a lot of young children who are really being set up for failure, because the system has not given them the opportunity to really achieve optimal health. So there's a lot to be done. A lot to be done.
There is. It's like you've barely scratched the surface,
Oh yeah. And when you start something, you have to go in and say, like you said, be the change. Just go be the change and see what happens. See where it falls out.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. No, I'm excited about all of it. I'm excited about this, because this in itself was a long time coming to.
Yeah, it is great, man. I like it.
This is good. This is a good chat conversation, and we'll set up around too, man.
Thanks for checking out Fit Talk with Coach Luis. Remember to follow us on social media, on Instagram at Live2Progress, and on Twitter at Live2Progress. Stay tuned for more episodes of Fit Talk with Coach Luis coming soon. And remember, always live to progress.
I love it.